Now the 2023-24 Premier League season is over. It's time to reflect on what has been a memorable season in the Premier League. Manchester City lifted the Premier League title once again for the fourth time in a row. But what we're going to do is we're going to get people on to give their team of the season. They're limited to 2 players per club, so it can't be a team full of Arsenal players. It can't be a team full of Manchester City players, and it gets people thinking outside of the box. And the first guest on this series is he's a Liverpool fan. It didn't go too well for the Jurgen Klopp farewell tour, but Ollie is joining me. Ollie, how are you, mate?
Yeah, nice to see you again, Jake. All good. Yeah, very well, thank you.
Jolly good. Didn't quite work out for Klopp in the end, did it, in the farewell tour?
It was actually a very, very disappointing season in the end. It was a shame because there was so much hope, for Liverpool to do well. I lot of people actually thought they were going to win the league at one point. How I was wrong. Yeah, 5 points clear in January, and then just to throw it all away, they won the Carabao Cup with with the kids, and then just as we were looking forward to some of the senior players coming back,
It all went downhill.
But that's the way it goes, isn't it?
Well, there we go. Let's get in to your team of the season. So just to reiterate, 2 players maximum per club. We're going for a bog standard formation. Now, I've seen Ollie's lineup and it's pretty attacking. I mean, they're going to concede goals and they're going to score goals as well. It's never going to be a dull moment with this team. Let's start off in goal. Who have you put in goal, Ollie?
Yeah, I've gone for Martinez. Good goal. I actually had him in my dream team at the start of the season, even though I stopped doing it halfway through.
As we all do.
Yeah, people too. Yeah, no, he's good. He's very, very good goal. I've always known he's been a very good goalkeeper. But I think commanding his defenders around his box, he's a very solid goalkeeper, great with his hands. I think he's just been a great part of Aston Villa, doing so well this season. He's a really, really good goalkeeper. I think, like you said, there could have been others, but because you've made it so difficult, Jake, only picking 2 players from a team, made a bit of a
it's
job.
It's made you think a little bit outside the box, hasn't it? Look, Martinez has been brilliant, a very worthy goalkeeper in a team of the season, and I think he's a fantastic shot stopper. He commands his box well, and he orders his defence and he organises his defence. Yeah. I think he's been a pivotal part to the success of Aston Villa this season.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I say, he's a good shot stopper, but I think there are quite a lot of goalkeepers which are good shot stoppers. But I've been most impressed with the way he commands his defence. To be honest with you, I think he's a very good commander around the ball. He's got a safe, good safe pair of hands as well when the ball's coming in. So yeah, very good goalkeeper. So I chose Martinez.
That's a decent pick. So the man between the sticks has been established. We'll go out to right back. Yeah. You've used one of your Man City picks. Who have you gone for, Ollie?
I went for Kyle Walker. This is probably the most difficult position I actually had to pick this season. I can't really pick out, one standout player who has done tremendously well at right back, and probably there has been, but I can't think of one. So I've just gone for someone who I think's been very consistent. Kyle Walker's played their most games. They're Man City are champions. He's obviously has to have done a good job down there. He's always up and down. I just think he's been very consistent. He hasn't had an amazing load of assists or goals this season, but he just does what he does. He's just a consistent right back. So Kyle Walker fits in there for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I mean, you're right in the sense of I think it's full backs as a whole, right backs and left backs. There's been no outstanding fullbacks this season. No. So, Kyle Walker's steadily done his job well. I mean, it helps with the players he's got around him in that Man City team as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, it makes life easy for anyone, doesn't it, with a team like that around you? But no, he's always been a very, very consistent, right back, lots of energy up and down. So, I'd be happy with him in any season. If you join Liverpool, I'd be happy with that.
Absolutely. His electrifying pace could be used in most teams, I think. He is a very decent player. Of course, captain of Man City as well, lifted the Premier League trophy on Sunday. Centre-backs was a little bit easier. There's been some standouts this season. Yeah. We'll start with your Arsenal centre-half. Who have you gone for?
I went for Saliba. If I'm being honest, it was a bit of a 50-50 toss-up between Saliba and Gabriel. I actually just literally was 50-50 between them. I think as a pair, I think they've been absolutely magnificent. They've been solid in that Arsenal back line. Part of the reason why Arsenal have done so well is those two. He's very commanding. He's won a lot of headers from the back. So yeah, so I just went with Saliba. I think he's been really good.
He's just been steady. They've had very few, unenforced errors at the back. Arsenal, they've just been solid. They've conceded a very low amount of goals, and it's been the obvious choice. And do you think probably one of the main reasons why Arsenal did reasonably well this season was that partnership of Saliba and Gabriel that's been the standard all season?
Definitely, yeah. I would think. I think they've been the best partnership as it goes, throughout the season, not just one individual. Which I think it's important to have a good partnership in centre half. You need to know where your mate is if you're pushing forward or staying back or whatever. I think as a pair, personally, I think they've been absolutely tremendous. But going back, I think it was a bit of a 50-50 toss up between which one, Gabriel or Saliba. So
yeah, they've both been excellent.
Yeah, they've both been excellent.
Absolutely. His partner at centre half, your captain. This was always going to happen, wasn't it?
Well, I know a lot of people won't agree with me on this one. I've heard a lot of people slating Van Dijk, especially Man United fans, saying he's just average and all this, but that's just a bit of banter of football, isn't it? But my personal opinion, I think Van Dijk has been superb. I'll tell you what, I think, the first sort of 3 quarters of the season, I think he was looking like his old self, like what he was 2 or 3 years ago. His absolute Rolls Royce, was winning everything, all the aerial duels. He was tremendous. I think actually it was only later on in the season he only made 1 or 2 little blunders, which I think he was questioned about. Maybe it was a fault for 1 or 2 goals, but you can't be perfect in every game. So, and personally, I think a lot of Liverpool's downfall, leaking goals this season, was actually from Trent at right back. I just don't think he can defend at all. I think he's a midfielder. I think he's an out-and-out number 6. And if he was to replace Thiago in midfield next season as an out-and-out number 6, I would be very, very, very happy, man. I just think
that's fair enough. Fair enough. I think with Van Dijk as well, he's had somebody different next to him for the majority. It's been Konate, it's been Konsa. He hasn't had, like at Arsenal, there hasn't just been the 2 centre halves. That's it. There's been a little bit of fluctuation between who's been alongside Virgil van Dijk, but I mean, he never makes massive, huge errors. I think he's gone under the radar this season a little bit because of the Arsenal centre halves. He's just a brilliant centre half, and there's no denying that. Now, with just a maximum of 2 players per club, you've had to think of a few rogue shouts to put in there, Ollie. And this one, when I saw it, I went, "Oh, that's an interesting one." Your left back, Ollie.
Yeah, he was a standout player for me this season, Antonio Robertson. I first watched him properly play when they played Liverpool. I just noticed he was electrifying quick. He was always up and down, putting in some great balls. That caught my attention to him. I watched him playing a few more games if they were on TV, in the Sunday afternoon or whatever it was. And he just seemed to always be involved in the final third a lot, like creating chances, or he was always involved. I just think, again, not really being, I would say, a standout fullback or right back this season, but he's just one that caught my eye. And I would actually be really surprised if one of the big sort of 4 or 5 teams didn't pick up on him next season, to be honest. I think he's got a lot of talent.
Yes, and when I saw your team come through and I saw his name and I went, "Oh, that's interesting." But you know what? He's a really good player. We were linked with him a couple of years ago. Didn't get him over the line. Fulham are a funny side, and I think he's one of the standout players here that goes under the radar a little bit as an excellent player. I did a little bit of research of his games this season. I mean, six assists ain't bad. He played 37 of the 38 games, so no huge injuries in there as well, which always helps the consistency of it. And overall, he's been what seems like a pretty good player for Fulham through the entirety of the season. We'll move into midfield now. I've guessed a little bit at the formation you've gone for here because there's some very attacking players from this moment on pretty much. But your final defensive sort of minded player is a familiar face for me. A little bit of a touchy subject. You're number 6, Ollie.
Kudos, isn't it, from West Ham?
No, Declan Rice.
Oh, Declan Rice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, Declan Rice. Going back, Declan Rice, yeah, I know. I actually think he's been absolutely superb this season for us. Now, I know we can go and talk about Gabriel and Saliba being great in centre half, but I honestly don't think without Declan Rice they would have been. And I mean that. I mean, I think every great centre half pairing needs a solid number 6 in front of them. I mean, Man City have got Rodri, and there's been other greats over the years. Liverpool had Fabinho, didn't they, for a couple of seasons before he went downhill last season. when they won the league. And Declan Rice was superb for Arsenal this season, absolutely superb. I think they were so unlucky not to win the league this season. Arsenal came so close. It was so difficult against Man City as well, isn't it? With their spending power But yeah, no, his work rate is unbelievable. Declan, if you actually watch him, he's just non-stop up and down the pitch. He tackles. He's just solid. I mean, I wish Liverpool signed him last year, but they didn't. But you move on. We've got Endo. He's quite good.
Look, a world-class number 6, and we got laughed at in the summer when we demanded £100 million for him, and people have started to realise the player he's become. That's the most praise he's going to get from me. We'll move into your other 2 players in midfield. I'm going to go with your Chelsea standout man next as your attacking midfielder.
Yeah, Cole Palmer's been a standout player for me this season. He's just improved an awful lot, this player, especially. I think Chelsea have been really poor this season, but for one player who has stood out for me is Cole Palmer. He seems to do interesting things. He sort of lightens the team up a bit. He scored some really good goals. He's dangerous. He's just attacking. He's always there creating things. So, yeah, and it's good for England as well if he has improved. We need him as well for England. But he's been a standout player for Chelsea. Really
I mean, there's been so many goal contributions. He's found himself in the right place at the right time a lot of times. He's scored a lot of penalties, but that's not taken away from the class. He's held Chelsea together at points through this season. Cole Palmer. There's not many occasions that Man City let a player go and they become better at their next club. This is one of the very few examples of that. Cole Palmer has been excellent, and he's probably single-handedly pushed Chelsea up to a Europa League finish at the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree with that. Chelsea have been really poor this season, but he's been the one outstanding player who's held it together for sure. He's got them that Europa League position, I think.
Absolutely. Your other midfielder, it is a West Ham player.
This either.
Mohamed Kudus. I was delighted when I saw his name on there. Ollie Kudus.
Yeah, no, Kudus. I think he's a great player. I know you're not going to like this, and I do feel sorry for clubs like you because, you always get your good players and you start building something, and then big clubs want to come in for them, don't they? Your best players, and I do feel sorry for clubs like that. No, but I think Kudus is a magnificent football player, especially in midfield. He scored, I think I heard or something quite recently, he scored like in all competitions, like 20 goals, nearly 20 goals or something.
I think he's had 20 goals in his goals combined.
That's phenomenal from midfield. That's phenomenal from midfield. It really, really is. If you can get an attacking midfielder scoring 20 goals a season in all competitions, you're laughing. Or he's got a lot of assists.
Yeah.
He's just a really intelligent football player in midfield. He makes things happen all the time. He's creative. And I know you won't like it, but if Liverpool were to sign him, I think if we had 2 top class, attacking midfielders with McAllister and Kudus, a bit like Man City have got 2 great players in every position, I think Liverpool would be a force next season again, to push.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, in the Premier League, he's had 14 goal contributions, add another 5 in for the Europa League, 1 from the EFL Cup as well. So what if you add that up, 6, that's 20 goal contributions in all competitions, predominantly on that right-hand side, whipping balls into the box. He's been brilliant. I've manoeuvred him into attacking midfield to facilitate some of the fantastic players that you've got coming up, Ollie. But I mean, I hope he stays at West Ham in the summer. I think you articulated how good he's been. And I think that goal we scored against Man City at the weekend, the overhead kick, probably epitomises the player that he's been. He runs past players like they're not there. He gets himself out of tight positions where you think he's going to lose it here, and he comes away with the ball. He's got pace, he's got power. He's been a hell of a find for 35 million quid. You won't get much better value for money. We'll move out to the left hand side, the player that won the Premier League Player of the Season, your second Man City pick. Who have you gone for, Ollie?
Phil Foden, wasn't it? Foden? Yeah. No, Foden has been tremendous. He's really stepped up to the mark for City, and I would say he's been Man City's best player this season. They've had a lot of great. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne is always there and thereabouts, and so's Haaland. But I think Foden's been the outstanding player for Man City. He's just looked tremendous cutting inside that left foot of his.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the reason why City won the league again for the 4th time in a row. And congratulations to City as well. It's a magnificent achievement doing 4 in a row. I think he's been pivotal in that. And it's also brilliant news for England as well, if we can keep him fit and firing goals like that. So, great news for England.
Absolutely. No, look, I was at the Etihad on Sunday, where inside 79 seconds, Phil Foden fired a fantastic shot into the top corner, and that summed up his season. He's in a team of great footballers, fantastic footballers, and he's been a standout. And again, as we've mentioned, with the likes of Palmer and Rice and Foden, it's looking good in that sense going in to the Euros this summer. He won the Premier League player of the season, Ollie, and do you think that was rightly so?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I do. I think there's been some great players, but I think Foden, he's been absolutely tremendous up front. He has been the outstanding player for me anyway. And I hope it goes well for... I'm just not sure about Gareth Southgate, whether he can transform it right.
Exactly. That is the concern going into the Euros. Now, on the right-hand side, I was hoping a few people would pick this guy, and you've picked him from Crystal Palace. He's been sensational this season. Your right winger, Ollie.
Yeah, Michael Olise. I think he's tremendous. I do. I think he's another one of those players who, you put him in one of the big 3 or 4 teams,
absolutely,
and he'd be a world class football player. It's only because he's playing in a smaller team. Not many people have picked him up, but he's got pace, everything. And the main thing is, if he gets half a chance, he will score a goal. He will score a goal. He's just a great finisher. And sometimes you just need players like that, really. I wouldn't be surprised if he got picked up next season by one of the big 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah. I think that's the thing for Crystal Palace. They got themselves up into 10th, and under Oliver Glasner, they've been brilliant. If they can keep hold of their players, that's going to be the issue. Olise, Eze, some really good players. They've got to keep hold of them, Palace, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have. And going back to what I was saying a minute ago, I do feel sorry for these smaller clubs. It's hard, isn't it? They build up, don't they? They get all their players, and then they go, don't they? They sell. But it would be great for Palace. I'd like to see Palace keep them for another year or 2. It would be good to see them do well in the Premiership next season.
I tell you what, I've got a bit of breaking news. I mean, we're not doing this live, but literally broken about 5 minutes ago when recording, Mauricio Pochettino is leaving Chelsea with immediate effect. I actually can't believe I am reading that. He is leaving Chelsea. He has parted ways. Obviously, we're not doing this live, so it's going to be funny when people watch this. That is just broken right now. Ollie, your face sums it up. Pochettino has left Chelsea.
I'm completely shocked. I know he hasn't done really well, but I thought he would have at least have another season. I mean, who's Chelsea going to bring in now?
Left by mutual consent, so he's walked Poch. He's had enough. Wow, that is mental. We'll go on to your striker next. We won't get sidetracked for too long. That just took me aback a little bit. Your striker, the Aston Villa talisman. If you picked Ollie,
I went for Ollie Watkins this season. I don't think he's been underrated. I think a lot of people have noticed he's done tremendous at Aston Villa this season. Obviously, there's been a lot of players. But I do like Ollie Watkins. I think he's one of those strikers that all big teams need in their team. He's one of those players, if you give him half a chance, he'll just put the ball in the back of the net. He's amazing around, sort of in and around that 6-yard box. Give him half a sniff, he'll just thump it in the back of the net. And sometimes with football, that's all you need. You don't need to be diddly-daddling, just fancying about. If you don't score goals, you don't win matches. It's as simple as that. And he's just I just think he's a great goal poacher. He's an in and out goal scorer and around that 6-yard box. And I think he's great. He's another one of those players. If he was playing for City, Arsenal, Liverpool, he'd be a world-class football player as well. Or recognised as well. Yeah, he's very good.
He has been absolutely brilliant. So, Ollie, that is your completed team. I'm going to bring it up onto the screen in a formation basis now. It's just loading up. Now, I'll tell you what, this would be one entertaining season if you are following this team around. There we go. Martinez in goal. Robinson, Van Dijk, Saliba, Walker. Rice as the sitting midfielder. Then you've got Palmer, Kudus, Foden, Watkins and Olise. Ollie, that is some
team, isn't it? That is some team. Yeah, that is winning the Premier League next season, I'm telling you.
Ollie's loving it. But you can't have a team without a manager. So, Ollie, your manager of the season?
Manager of the season, I'm going to go for Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. I think Arsenal have come on leaps and bounds. They look brilliant this season, to be fair. They have played some great football. I think they've, a little bit like Liverpool, they've been unfortunate with coming up against Pep Guardiola, hasn't he, in this City team over the last so many seasons. But no, attacking, Arsenal have been playing some great attacking football, and they defended well as well, with Rice. So yeah,
I think it's. I think there's a few to consider. You've got Emery from Aston Villa with the job he's done. You've got Pep Guardiola won the title again, and Mikel Arteta. That would be my top three. I'm undecided in what order, but I think Mikel Arteta is a respectable choice coming off of this season.
Emery, actually, he's done brilliant.
He's done a great job.
Yeah,
done a great job. And just for a laugh at the end, we've got a flop of the season. Now, we've just been talking about Chelsea. Their manager's gone. He cost over £100 million to sit in midfield. Who's your flop of the season, Ollie?
Oh, it's got to be Caicedo for me. What a bullet we dodged with that one. No, he's been awful. I mean, that goal he scored on the last game of the season was his only goal he scored all year.
Hell of a goal, mind, but I mean,
it was a great finish. Don't get me wrong, but it was an empty net. I mean, you'd expect players at that level to be able to hit an empty goal from the halfway line, wouldn't you? They must practice kicking a ball every day, mustn't they? Half a length. I suppose under pressure. Yeah, it was a good finish under pressure, a bit of under pressure, but no, he's been very disappointing. Brilliant player at Brighton. I mean, him and Alexis McAllister were fantastic together. I think Jurgen Klopp might have noticed that and worked a good partnership between them, but he rejected us, and how he was wrong.
I mean, wow, he's been so poor. He kicked off his Chelsea career by conceding a penalty against West Ham in August, and it's all gone, and it hasn't got any better from that moment on for Moises Caicedo. There we go, Ollie. You have been the guest for our first team of the season this season, and that team is going to take some beating from the guests that are going to join me over the next couple of weeks. A fantastic team, and Ollie, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Any final words?
No, you're welcome, Jake. Nice to see you again. Cheers for all the match day vlogs you've given us this season. I do like watching those ones, especially when I got a spare 10 minutes at home. Always good to see like away grounds and what they have on offer for half time and stuff. So cheers. Keep it up next season. Look forward to it again.
Brilliant. Ollie, thank you very much. The fantastic team you've delivered to us. That would definitely, in my eyes, win the Premier League. I think the balance of it may need to be worked on a little bit. But there's going to be goals in that team. We'll just reiterate before we go. Emi Martinez in goal, back four of Kyle Walker, Saliba, Van Dijk and Anthony Robertson. Declan Rice sitting in midfield. A progressive two of Cole Palmer and Mohamed Kudus. On the left, you've got Phil Foden. On the right wing, you've got Michael Elise. And up front, leading the line is Ollie Watkins with Mikel Arteta as the gaffer. A hell of a team. Ollie, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Thank you everybody for watching in at home as well. And I'll see you soon right here on West Ham Unofficial. Thank you very much and bye-bye.